Hello, folks, and welcome to the RDIEC Spotlight. Today we are featuring Karen Bergerman, and she is an environmental engineer with Nutrien out of Lanigan. If you are watching this, please fill in the survey found on the RDIEC website for a chance to win a $50 gift certificate and give us some important feedback on improving these sessions. With that, I will move it along to Karen.
Good afternoon. My name is Karen Bergerman, and I'm an environmental engineer at Nutrien Lanigan Potash. I graduated from the U of S from Ag Bio in 2007. My current role is environmental engineer, and I've been working here at Lanigan since 2008. Prior to that, I was in Alberta, working out of Calgary, but mainly in the field for the oil and gas sector. And we kind of just hit the end of the Alberta boom. So quite a few of us that graduated went to Alberta, but our eyes were always set to come back to Saskatchewan. So duties in my current employment, there's two environmental engineers here at site, and we primarily work on regulatory and compliance, and that would be federal, provincial, and rural requirements. On a day-to-day basis, there's operations mainly dictated by our permit to operate. So the Ministry of Environment in Saskatchewan gives all mines a permit to operate, and that's kind of what we work off of primarily. And then capital projects is a large part of it, depending on the mine site and where it's at right now. Ours has expanded, and we're kind of in that time period where we're expanding our footprint. So that's a lot of my time as well. And then on site, I would say we act as a company reference for awareness and programs and try to just continue to build on sustainability initiatives. I did put in here other discipline options just because I think it's worth mentioning that when it comes to an engineer degree, there are so many different options available. So I think a lot of people still think of your civil design, construction roles, a lot of consulting firms, project management. And then right now, things that are really big, anything to do with computers, software, obviously, space is kind of its own entity as well. But interdisciplinary, maybe people don't think of as much, but when it comes to research, marketing, a lot of finance crossover, legal, I think medical, that's something I was really interested in at one point. And then social justice, like there's just so many options that are out there that you might not realize, or people will cross over with engineering or have one degree in one program and a master's or something else in another one. So I think that is the greatest thing about that degree, is it opens up so many doors, and for a lot of people it changes over the years. So my equipment right now and workspace it's big, like any mine site. It covers a large area for the most part. So we're about 6 sections. I do inspections and oversight in the field, but primarily I am at my office and work off of my computer. For equipment in my other role and currently, a 4x4 in Saskatchewan is what you need, and then you can probably get to anywhere you need to be and see what you need to see. And instrumentation is pretty basic. We run a lot of instruments now that are going off of networks, so you're reading things in real time, but everything is really, really user friendly. And then for offices and meetings, everything like this is online. So your standard laptop and audio equipment, and that's about it. Likely unknown duties. So this is kind of what I would say I've learned. So there can be a lot of overlap with safety regulations and environment. They do cross over a lot, and companies typically do group them together. And now, I guess having worked in industry, I realize why. So a lot of companies group things together: safety, health, and environment, and they do cross over continuously. One thing I didn't think about a lot in the past was the legal side of it, and because I work in regulatory for the site, that's why I guess I'm more involved with that. But there is definitely the legal aspect of it. Waste management. So that's, the biggest thing of what we do probably, and not something that everybody talks about all the time. So there's lots of demand. There's always lots of research going into new initiatives and new ideas. So that if anybody is looking for an entrepreneur type opportunity, I would say that's the area that it's in. Rewarding aspects. So I do like that, though I do have a lot of deadlines that need to happen annually or monthly or quarterly, I still have a lot of opportunity to manage my time and complete my work and duties as I need to. So it's not a rigid day-to-day schedule. Every day is kind of different. Um, Positive feedback, you can spend a lot of time, especially this time of the year over the winter, we spend a lot of time creating and summarizing reports, and then the feedback that you get a few months later is very rewarding. And for me, what was really important was living in rural Saskatchewan and having this type of job. So I'm not flying up north, I'm not commuting to Fort Mac. So I would say that was always a really good thing. Challenges and stressors. So audits, deadlines, the part of regulatory for sure is auditing. So looking back and going through all your work with a fine tooth comb and others' opinions can be a stressful thing, but I don't think you'll get away from it in any sector or any discipline. So just 1 second. Company dynamics. So I do work for a large corporation. So it just depends on your style or personal preference, I guess. Big company versus small company. And then there's always the dynamics or politics of a site versus your corporate office. And that's just something you'll learn as you get out into the world. Long-term planning, making the right decisions today. So I guess the role that I'm in right now, our waste facilities are going to be around for a long time. So you are wondering constantly if the design and the decisions that you're making technically or socially are the right ones for the long term. So that's kind of what I thought of. Salary and benefits, I just clipped this rate from APEGS because the engineering group in Saskatchewan, they do it every year. So they send out a survey, and this is updated every year. So you can just look quick. You can Google it yourself. It's very easy to see. They arrange it in a few different ways, by discipline, by industry, by the year that you graduated. So somewhere kind of I crossover between, so my degree is ag bio, but I'm in mining. So somewhere in that 90 to 110 range is kind of common. Benefits, yes. Pension, yes. And that's really because of the large organization I work for. If you were a private consultant, obviously you're going to have to make the decision for what you're doing if you're providing that. So that can really vary a lot. I just answered for myself here. For holidays, again, very standard, but we do have a good benefit package that you can opt to buy extra hours. So that's something that's very nice if you like to have holidays and stuff. And then I currently work a 32-hour week. So I guess, again, I would say that within the field, it really ranges. Some people just will consult 30%. Some people are doing like 120, 130% of your average work week. So it really depends on your role and your company. But I think the flexibility is definitely there to find what works for you. Professional development. So I already mentioned APEGS, and they are the organization in Saskatchewan, and then there's also the Canadian one. And there is a requirement every year to do ethics training and provide proof of credit. So that just includes how many hours you've worked in the year, which is, it's just based on your average work year. And if you're continuing to do education or awareness or technical research, those types of things that you put into that. So it's achievable, and it's just a bit of a record requirement on an annual basis. For professional development, most of that comes through conferences, courses, publications. So often they would be, in the city, out of province, around the world. You can find them everywhere, but pretty much now everything has been online. So it's easy for you to to get access to those. There's also a lot of industry organizations, again, on a local, provincial, and federal and international level. So within mining, there's many, and within the fertilizer industry, there's more. It just, whatever sector you're into, you're going to find that there is lots of organizations within it. And then for IT support, I just mentioned it's all within our company. So that's easy for me. Opportunities in the field. So I guess this is my opinion, think that there's a pretty consistent demand. Environmental and biological fields have been particularly strong. And as I mentioned at the beginning, the oil and gas sector was in Alberta is not so strong, but it was when we had graduated. So the other thing that I thought was interesting for advancement is that many presidents and CEOs are often engineers. And again, a lot of the time they may have done a business program or some type of financial or accounting background as well. Even on site within our department heads, most are engineers as well. So I think it just opens a lot of doors, that degree. For related fields, oops, sorry, I already kind of mentioned that. There's just a large variety of careers that you can find that you probably right now don't realize, but if you were to look into it a little bit, search around, you'll find there's a lot of it goes back to an engineering background. And I think this is last, work-life balance. So I think I touched on it already, but hours, shifts can really vary. Currently, my role is Tuesday to Friday, 7 to 3, but there's 5 or 7 different shifts that happen right here on this mine site. So kind of traditionally, when you start off as a new engineer, you'll be doing a lot of field work or a lot of projects. And then as time goes on, you gradually work towards more of a management role. And so it's in those junior years that you often have more overtime and more field work. If you are interested and willing to travel more or spend time out of the main office, you tend to move up and get that experience quicker. But anybody can do it anyway. At this point in my life, we have 3 kids and we both wanted to be on a farm in Saskatchewan. So our work-life balance is I would say pretty much ideal to be able to drive 15 minutes to the mine site and work the day job and then go home and get the rest done and all the field and farm work done. And that is it.
Awesome work. Any questions out there? I guess one I would have is just sort of like, are you taking samples? Like sort of what is the day-to-day work?
Yeah, for the mine site, a lot of it is sampling groundwater, soil, and then air emissions is also part of it. But I do not take many of those samples myself anymore. It would be our lab technicians that do the groundwater, and soil is often a consulting firm or somebody that's off-site coming in. Same with stack emissions. So that stuff, I coordinate it all, line it up, get the report, summarize it, look at trends, report to others. I'm not doing the field work too much anymore. But with our project work, the tailings management area, the construction, like earthworks construction that's going on, that brings in a whole pile of different consultants and engineering firms just for that work. And underground, obviously, there's all the geologists and everything that's going on under there. So on site, there's most traditional engineering presence for sure.
Hi, Kevin here. I know as a former career counselor, so many students that went into engineering, they just weren't quite sure what they were getting into or which branch to take. Like any of your, what was your experience like, or what advice would you have for young students that are looking at engineering?
Yeah, I'm out of touch on the recruitment, like what's happening. I know the disciplines have changed even since I was there, but I'm pretty sure your first year is going to be general still, and then you have time to branch into whichever one you are choosing. In my case, I thought I knew exactly what I was going to do, and I switched disciplines after that first year, I guess in my second year. So even if you're unsure, you got time still. I guess I would say that's my piece of advice is you'll have time to figure it out. Your first year is common, and even the college usually does a good job of trying to give you a taste of each discipline, so so you can make that decision. And talking to others, and I guess just feeling it out is kind of the best way. And don't be afraid that it'll change, because it probably will change multiple times for you.
Thanks.
Gord here. It's nice to focus on the environmental aspect of engineering. You guys play a real important role. Just out of curiosity, when you went to school, and just what you're seeing out there, is there more women entering the field nowadays? Is that increasing, hopefully?
I again don't have like the current college numbers, but it's an emphasis within the company, within the industry, within the country. Anytime there's extra conferences just for women right now in any sciences, all your STEM things. So I hear a lot about it, and I see a lot of initiatives. I think 2 or 3 years ago, I was at the Sask Mining Association conference in Saskatoon. I think the numbers were still the same, if not kind of trending down a little bit. But I wouldn't say it's because of a lack of effort. I guess it's just something that's going to take more time. I think when I was there, it really depended on which discipline. So I clearly remember the mechanical program had 80 students, and I think 4 or 5 of them were female, whereas Chem Eng had like 60% female. So it really depends even within the college. But I think the mining stats overall are pretty stagnant and low, like what low.